What's up, guys? So today we have a bit of a legend on the show, Craig Campbell. He has worked in SEO for over 20 years. He has one of the biggest YouTube channels in SEO, and he's also very entertaining. So today you will learn some of the craziest link building strategies in SEO, what's working in SEO right now and what's changed, plus how to rank your site in extremely competitive niches, for example, like the casino niche, and what sort of link building strategies are working right now. Let's jump in. Mr. Craig Campbell, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, great, thanks. So I was on your YouTube channel a few weeks ago and thought you get on us. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
No, don't worry. It's always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. I get good feedback from you being on mine. A lot of people asking about HARO and stuff like that. So, yeah, you've done well, came across well. So,
That's
yeah, it's all
good.
good.
Tried my best. Yeah.
That's all we
You
can do.
and I mean you've been doing like SEO for 18 years, right? Read on your website.
It's actually, I need to update my website. It's neither 20. I just,
Anniversary coming
it
up.
comes yeah, it comes to a point where you see this. I've been doing SEO for 18 years across LinkedIn, Twitter, and all these other kind of things. And then it comes to like your 19th year or your 20th year, and you're just like, I can't be asking. I've updated some of them and not updated others, but it is that was like that 18 years has been going around for about 2 years.
It's a
So
long 18 years. Yeah, yeah.
it's a long 18 years, but what I will say is, even when I was doing it for like 7 years, I think I was probably still telling people it was 18 years. That 18 years ain't moved for a long time, to be honest. But nah, it's genuinely early 2000s is when I started getting into it. So it is genuinely close to 20 years, and it's been a long 20 years, I'll tell you.
How did you first get into it?
Just by luck, really. I had a few dead end jobs that I absolutely hated. But I'm 42 now. When I grew up, we didn't have the internet, mobile phones, nothing like that. So when I left school, 17, 18, I really had no idea what I wanted to do in life, and messed around in different call centres, Burger King, various other jobs like
Mm,
that.
wow.
However, absolutely hated it. And I had this crazy passion for online because it was a big new thing, dial-up connection in the house and all that kind of stuff, and became obsessed with the internet to a certain degree, and just chatting to girls and stuff on MSN was a massive thing, back then, and I hated my jobs and stuff. So I don't know why, but something just said like mess around with kind of websites and stuff.
Mm.
And I tried to become a really well. I tried to become a web designer, and I was really shit at it. Is the truth.
I've
So I
tried
was messing
myself.
around.
I'm terrible. Yeah,
I think that's how we all start. And I was just
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man, this is painful. This is I'm not a creative guy or anything like that. So I found it very, very difficult, and just messing around in forums, trying to learn and all that. This is all whilst I'm in dead end jobs.
Yeah.
Um, don't get me wrong, I was making money from selling websites. People were still buying them, but they were fucking bad. And
Mm.
I just think it's got easier ways to make money online, and you start looking at trying to rank them in Google, and you have absolutely no clue what that means or how it's done. But you're reading up in forums. Back then there wasn't YouTube or any of that crazy stuff we've got now, no conferences, nothing.
Was it
And
like you were reading up on like Warrior Forum and those sort of old
Warrior
school
Forum was
places?
one.
Yeah.
There was another one called the SEO Chat Forum, which is still there. Um, Obviously, it's less frequently used as it was back in the day. However, there was so many people just helpful on forums, constantly helping you, and it was a bit like we do now. You just rock up and MSN, Facebook Messenger, and just say, "Hey, dude, I'm struggling with this," and someone will probably reply to you or whatever. It was like that on a forum, but sometimes you're waiting 2 or 3 days for a reply. Um, so the learning curve was long, and it was difficult. So um, but that's where it went. And obviously, SEO back then was fairly easy. It probably took me a few years to get a grasp on it, but there was just dudes that knew how this shit worked, and you had to kind of schmooze them, and they'd eventually drip feed you their information. And if you were a friend, you would get more information than anyone else. And from there, that's when I started doing the old SEO and ditched the the web design. I'm spitting and laughing and everything here. The web design. I feel embarrassed actually saying that, you know, I attempted web design, but yeah, I was bloody awful, mate. Awful.
Yeah, honestly, I find it drives me a bit crazy, you know, like even now, if I'm like, it's so easy now with Elementor and stuff like that, but it's just, I'm terrible at it. So yeah, I feel your pain there, mate. Definitely.
And even back then, it was like Joomla and shit like that, which was kind of a CMS.
Drupal, that sort of thing as
It,
well.
it was not fun, man. It was just
Yeah.
hellish. Or HTML, you know, and I thought I was a king, being able to have sliding text across the top of a page. Like, I'm like, oh
You were,
man,
man.
life. So yeah, when I look back, I laugh and go, "What a bloody douchebag you were." But all fun and games. You know, it was a good starting point anyway. I think yeah. But as I say, it was just all by luck, really, just fumbling about, fumbling about the web.
How much has SEO changed? Like in 20 years, it must be insane. You know, like back
I
then, it
mean,
was kind of like the Wild West, right?
yeah. I mean, back then, everyone was chasing like a DMOS link, uh, and it was really hard to get. I mean, listen, when I say it's changed a lot, it's evolved. The
Mm.
core concepts haven't really changed that much. You know, it was always about links and content. Now, of course, the style of links, the style of content, the in-depth analysis you can do in content, and all of that kind of stuff has massively changed and stuff like that. But you know, before then, you were stuffing stuff full of keywords. You still had your title tag and all that kind of stuff. You really probably didn't have subheadings and stuff. You know, it was just slap up bits of content and hope for the best. And links were links. You know, directories, social bookmarking,
It
any
all
old
worked.
garbage. What it was
Yeah.
just a volume until the point where Google has to say like, what the hell is all this? You know, it's just a massive spam fest because you know what it's like. If there's a loophole, all these SEOs get a hold of it, they all start piling in and they abuse
Straight
it
on it,
to the point.
like vultures.
Um, they are, man.
Yeah.
It's madness. And but you know, even there was a point. This big DMOS directory, um, you couldn't go on it, mate. It would take you like 3 years, and you had to find a dude and blackmail him and bribe him and everything to try and get your bloody link active on there. But the problem with this is, and I spoke to several DMOS guys since then, and I didn't know they were DMOS guys at the time. And they're just like, yeah, dude, if you, like, I was the chief of Glasgow, so anyone that came in with a list in Glasgow, it was me that decided whether we're going ahead or not. And if I seen an SEO listing like yours, and I'm the main SEO guy, you're listing ain't going ahead,
Mm.
son. You know, stuff like that. So it was the Wild Wild West, and you're just like,
It's like the
fuck.
mafia for SEO.
Oh, mate, it is, and it probably still is to a certain extent. You know, I think
Yeah.
there is a lot of that that goes on. You know, it depends. It's not what you know; it's sometimes who you know, and you know. So I think a lot, a lot of this stuff is still very much the same. You know, we're still vultures. If there's a loophole, everyone will pile in. You know, links were a big thing back then, but you know, it was a case of automating the shit out of it and using Scrapebox to basically do blog comments and all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot easier. Obviously, these days you'll get people like yourself who do HARO, trying to get higher profile stuff, and you know, all these kind of other weird uh, ways of link building and trying to get relevance power and all that kind of stuff. So whilst it has changed a lot, it hasn't really changed. And I know that seems a bit of a weird thing to say. But of course, building links back then was a spam fest. You've now just got to adapt your approach these days. So it's adapted and for the better, to be honest, because
Yeah, definitely.
literally it was just messy. It was just a case of who bloody worked on it the longest and spammed the shit out of it the most won. And I don't really think that's a fair reflection on how it should work anyway. So I think quality beats quantity these days, and I'm glad to see that, to be honest, because literally, if you looked at other people's websites and it was just a pure blast of garbage and they were winning, and you were going to do a blast, it wasn't really...
Whoever spammed the most, basically.
Yeah, but it wasn't really engaging your brain so much. It was just like, oh, I'll go do this. And, at least now you're reverse engineering stuff and you've got to, look at different data and all that kind of stuff. So I think your brain's more engaged now, and it's a lot healthier now than it was back then.
Yeah, it's probably a lot more creativity involved, right? Like,
yeah,
even creating a link building campaign or writing a HARO response is way more demanding, I would say, than... I remember like a few years ago when I was first getting into SEO, I stumbled across Matthew Woodward's blog, and he recommended, back then it was working. So he recommended like using Scrapebox with GSA, and you set up all the proxies, and then you just have it running on a VPS like 24 hours a day. And it was like such a dirty way of building links, but it worked going back, 7, 8, 10 years ago.
That's it. Woodward's a legend. He's another one that I followed a lot back in the day. So, yeah, all of these things worked, and they're always good to try and understand. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't really want to touch that stuff. Understand it, how it works. Understand the mechanics behind it, and then make your decision as to whether that's part of your ongoing strategy or not. And nothing against people who don't use these things, but I think playing with it and understanding it all.
That's super important. Yeah, definitely. And I saw on your YouTube channel, you have a lot of videos about stuff that might be considered maybe black hat or grey hat. What sort of things do you do these days for link building, for example?
I mean
not that there's anything wrong
talking about the black. No, see, the term black hat, and I use it myself, black hat SEO tips or whatever. The term black hat, I'm probably going to say, doesn't really do what I do justice, because I'm not using Scrapebox and doing blog comments and stuff anymore. Black hat for me is just being creative and thinking outside the box now. If I want a PR link, I may trip the journalist up into giving me an image credit or whatever. So it's how I approach them that's probably where the black hat side comes in. It's not the link is such that it's black hat. You've got your HARO Outreach and all that kind of stuff, and that's one way. And I think I said it on the podcast with you. It's just too much work.
It really is. It is so much work. It's crazy. Yeah. And
that's why a HARO link costs so much money. I can't be arsed doing that. I need a quicker fix, a cheaper, more cost-effective fix, if I'm being honest. And if I can trip up a journalist by saying, hey, mate, you've been using my image, give me an image credit there, and the daft guy falls for it, that's just one of many tricks that I've spoken about on my channel, the image trick and various other bits and bobs. So, of course, that is then deemed as black hat, but who's not doing that stuff? That's the reality. And as I say, you might say, Craig, that's a nasty thing to do, or you're preying on the naive or the vulnerable. I've got to put food on the table as far as I'm concerned for my family. And if I need to trip someone up to get to where I need to be, then so be it. It's, I've got morals to a certain degree, but there's guys in this industry who don't. And if I don't compete with those guys, then I'm going to lose the battle. So, it's a case of, if you can't beat them, join them.
There's some industries and niches where you have to as well, right? Like you can't compete without it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm playing in the casino niche and stuff like that. I cannot afford HARO links, at whatever price HARO costs. I simply just can't afford them. For the volume that I need, I would be bankrupt very, very quickly if I was to go down the HARO approach. So, and it's just not what other people do. So when you're looking at the competitors and you're like, right, PBN, guest post, this, that, the next thing, you've got to follow suit, and it's got to be cost effective. So whilst, again, I don't want to be seen as slamming HARO, because I'm certainly not. I think it's a very good option. There's certain industries where that will work better than others, and
definitely,
it all comes down to the cost and the budget that you've got to play with, and that's where link building that works for you, for whatever type of client you work with, and for me in the casino niche, yours just wouldn't cut it. End of story. So what do? Pretend that we just do HARO Outreach and keep doing it and lose, or do we say, no, fuck this, we pull some of the tricks out the bag because I want some of that money in the casino niche? So that's the way I see it anyway. And a lot of people call that Blackhat, but as far as I say, it is what it is. I've just got to win the fight that I'm fighting, and I'll continue to do so. So if that's seen as Blackhat, then so be it.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty damn creative. Like the link building strategy where you tell a journalist or a website owner, listen, you're using my image. Can you add a link to it? Technically, it's not your image. What sort of other, just out of interest, what sort of other link building strategies do you use? We don't actually work with any casinos, so I don't know this side of the world.
I will use hacked links or niche edits. And again, those are typically used to power up guest posts and stuff like that. So I need a cheaper, powerful alternative than continually buying guest posts. And hack links cost, less money. So, and they're powering up a guest post. So again, that is part of it. Tier 2 links have to be more cost effective. There's so many different ways of getting links and all that kind of stuff. There's so many creative ways, creative angles, or even just using expired domains. Someone who's maybe done SEO for 10 years that's just went out the game, forgot to renew their domain, whatever it might be. Can you grab any of that link equity that they've got and use it for your own website? Yes. Or you could build a PBN on it and use it as a link asset where you can negotiate with other people in the industry and swap links or whatever you choose to do. So there are all sorts, and as I say, link building automation still has its place in this industry as well. And I think a lot of people are scared of link building automation, and again, using that to power up links is a perfectly plausible way to do things.
A tiered link building strategy.
Tiered link building strategy. Again, not many people are doing it. They're scared of it. But, if you're playing with real players and they're all doing it, then if you don't do it, again, you're going to lose. So, again, you need to understand what tiered link building is, what you can use for it, and the most cost-effective way to do it. And yes, I will use the likes of Money Robot, X-Ranker, GSA, and tools like that. Of course, I'm not directing my money website. That would be horrendous to do that direct to my website. There is a likelihood of a ban. But, you've got certain hotspots within your link building structure where if something was to get a ban, you can switch it out or redirect it elsewhere or whatever, even redirect it onto a competitor. If what you were doing was pushing it hard enough to get a ban. So link building is not just a one-trick pony. There's outrageous amounts of tricks and outrageous amount of things that you can do to get links in.
It's just endless, isn't it? Yeah.
With what you do, to a certain extent, call it digital PR, call it, I know you're doing HARO specifically, but if we want stuff on high-profile news websites, fake news, all of that shit, that's where creativity comes up. You've got to come up with something that is newsworthy to a certain extent. And those people need to buy into it, and the journalist and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, come up with some cock and bull fucking story. Again, it's another way to do it. Now, again, people might say that's bloody outrageous. I don't mind telling a few lies to get to where I need to be. Absolutely not. So, again, that would be seen as, black hat strategies. But guys, listen, all of the PR out there is all fake stats. No one's checking that shit. Fake stats, fake news, fake everything. The world is full of it. And until you realise that, then you're probably not going to go anywhere anytime fast. If you believe everything you read on the internet, on the news, in the papers, you must lead a very sheltered life. What I would say.
Yeah, I've got to agree there. For example, in a past life, I used to work in a recruitment company. I won't say which one it is, but we would release stats about recruitment every single month and then send them to the press. They would publish them. We get a link back to our sites. But sometimes those numbers were wrong. We just we calculated the data wrong, or we got the wrong set of data, and you can't go back and say, listen, can you just unpublish that stuff from last week? And we never really got tested on it. Journalists never really pushed back on it. It actually, the more outrageous it was, the better.
That's the thing, and no one's checking it. That's the weird thing. It's madness to think that's the case. And, I know guys who work in certain industries. Now, let's say crypto. I'm just using this as an example. This is not the case, but let's say crypto, for example. Crypto's all based on hype around a particular currency. Now, if people are reading up, and that's what everyone does, read up and all that kind of stuff on specific new currency that comes out and all that kind of stuff. If that hype looks good, people pile in and buy it, and all that kind of stuff. So people doing this stuff for a living, putting out fake bullshit, fake news, whatever you want to call it, saying that this crypto's the best, it's going to be the next big thing, so-and-so's invested in it, and all that stuff. But again, I know people who have helped leaders win elections and stuff with fake news, digital PR, call it what you like, just, swaying, manipulating people's opinions. And this particular person calls it opinion sculpting. So that is why you cannot fucking believe a thing that you read on the internet unless someone shows me a receipt or actual evidence of something. I'm now of the opinion I ain't believing shit. I don't care where it's been published. And if it sounds outrageous, I'll be calling someone out on it, saying, dude, show me some evidence before I'd believe it. That's how bad it's gotten. And I know people that do work in these fields and have gotten away with such tactics and still to this day get away with it. Journalists are lazy, as you say. They just want to copy and paste on and, slob about in the office for the rest of the day, making out like they've done it. If you can lay that on a plate for them and they can copy and paste it without any hassle, that's going live. End of story. So
an agency as well. You do SEO for clients too?
I've got an agency, a small agency that does a handful of clients. We are not a big agency and do not take on a lot of work, to be honest. Just because the business model that I created, I had an agency before. And I get sick of doing client work, and I then jumped over to doing affiliate and all that kind of stuff. Now, the way that I've got it is I still have to pay my staff's wages. And rather than pay that through my affiliate income, I basically take on enough. Well, when I say I don't have anything to do with the agency, but my business partner takes on enough clients to pay everyone's wages and cover all the costs, which means that all the affiliate stuff is pure profit. So
nice.
It covers the overheads and keeps the. So when I had the agency, I wanted to keep a small amount of that team together. And when you decide one day to just sack off your agency and you're not doing great with affiliate and all that kind of stuff, there has to be that bridge. you have to plug the gap basically. And, we had to do a certain element of client work just to keep people in a job and retain the people that I wanted to retain, jumping from agency to affiliate. So that was also another reason for it. But again, if that stuff pays the core overheads for staff and stuff like that, then it's happy days. And as I say, continues to keep them in a job. And I think it's just, you want to diversify your income streams.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's very, very important. So a lot of people think I made just this mad jump from stopping clients altogether and jumping over into affiliate. That's not quite how it worked. It would be good if it did, but there was that gap there that had to be filled. And even to this day, I've got a business partner who runs the agency, and he does that to a certain degree, but I believe the agency has like 5 clients,
Wow.
and we do a good job for 5 clients. That's it. We don't want to do any more. We don't want 55 clients. We don't want to hire any more staff or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes a full-time job in itself, right? Like handling clients, building a team around it, building good processes. It's so much work. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's painful, but to their own.
Yeah, that's it. So, and you've got the YouTube channel as well. That it's over 100K subscribers. I saw the other day.
Yeah, I've got whatever it is, 103, 104,000 subscribers. I've even got my YouTube plaque now, which was always the goal.
It's awesome, man. Congrats.
As well. Cheers. I think YouTube's a platform where there's a lot of traffic, and I think giving a lot of info back to the community, even whether it be a podcast, a tutorial video, whatever it might be, I still thoroughly enjoy doing that and doing Q&A sessions and stuff like that. And the reason that I do that is my inbox gets smashed every day of the week, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, Twitter,
yeah.
Instagram. It gets smashed with people saying, can you show me this? Can you show me that? What about this? What about that? And I can't reply to them all. It's just impossible. And that's why I try and do weekly shows on there. I do 2 a week where people can ask what the hell they like. And I put a lot of free courses on there, on the playlist and stuff like that. And it's worked out very well for me. And I started that. I mean, I've had my channel since whenever, 2016, when I started my own personal brand. I didn't really start posting videos on it until COVID hit. So I'd done a lot of speaking at conferences and all that kind of stuff, and that's where I would drop knowledge to people. But when COVID hit, obviously you get bored, you're no longer traveling, and decided to do a lot more on YouTube. So the YouTube's only been going for maybe nearly 2 years now. So that I've achieved a lot of the, pardon me, a lot of the growth there in a 2-year period, which is pretty decent for an SEO channel, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the biggest part of that was I gave away a course that I was previously selling. I gave that away for free when COVID hit, just to try and help people out and upskill people, because I know people were losing jobs and all that kind of stuff. And I had 50,000 people sign up in one night.
Wow.
Now, trying to force them to subscribe to my YouTube channel wasn't a thing. You can no longer force that. But I did say the very first thing you see when you logged into the course is, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's going to be more information on here. There's Q&A sessions and everything. So that was a main driver of the growth of that channel. And once you start getting those kind of numbers, things organically start to happen quicker. So it still wasn't quick enough. 2 years to get to 100,000. It was hard work. I've got 700 odd videos on there now. So there was a lot of time and effort put into that.
It's a grind, isn't it? YouTube is a bit of a grind.
It is, for sure. And even when I look at my analytics right now, a lot of the people who consume the content don't subscribe. And I think it's over 90%. do not subscribe. So that's a stat I think a lot of people will be able to resonate with if they do YouTube to a reasonable level. Trying to get people to subscribe is like pulling teeth. You can say it as many times as you want. Subscribe here, subscribe there. It ain't happening. So people just search for stuff and that's it. You know, and I'm the same. When I look at stuff, do I
Yeah,
subscribe to the channel? No,
90% of
because
the
I don't
time
want
I
to
would say I
have
wouldn't.
other shit.
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
I don't want to be
it's
getting notifications and stuff.
exactly your notification ping, ping, ping,
Oh
ping,
yeah,
ping,
it's
ping.
just
God damn it.
non-stop. Yeah.
Uh, and you don't want me uploading 5 videos in one day and bing, ping, 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 ping. You know, fuck that. So I get it. I get it. It's a grind, definitely a grind, but it was worth doing it. And I think, you know, certainly got me more exposure, more traffic, more everything. So it still is a massive learning curve because, again, optimizing for YouTube and all that was always things that I was trying to manipulate. And yeah, it's been fun.
How, just out of curiosity, I know you said you had, was it 30,000 or 50,000 sign up on the first night? How did you get
Yeah.
so many people signing up to your free course?
I've got a massive mailing list, and obviously I've got a reasonably good following from speaking at events and all that kind of stuff over the years. So putting that out there, but also you just put something out there for free, and the wolves will literally come and pile in. So between the big mailing list, the reasonably sized social media following, and I think I've done some paid ads to the Indian audience. Now a lot of people say, what do you mean Indian audience? Why? The Indian audience get the watch time and all of that stuff up and you know, the volume, it's a volume game over there.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell anything at all. So the cost of ads over there is outrageous. You know, you put $20 against something, you can literally get tens of thousands of clicks.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And that particular part of the world are so hungry when it comes to learning and all that kind of stuff. So I tapped into that massively. And why the hell not? You know, I think with anything, the engagement. So it was obviously quite strategic, to be honest. You know, the engagement signals, the watch time, and all that kind of stuff are big things when it comes to ranking in YouTube. So it was all done with a purpose. And as I say, I put it out there wildly to the audience who were following me, but also was targeting people through paid ads. Because it was my goal, you know, to just get big numbers on there and see what happens. And, you know, my main goal wasn't anything to do with money or anything like that. I wanted that bloody silver plaque that I recently got. That was the goal. I was like, man, I need one of them fucking plaques because I've seen a few other people got it, and I'm like, you know, I need that stuff in my life. And probably the hardest thing I've ever had to work for. The plaque's probably worth about, I don't know, $30, something like that. And the amount of man hours, time, and everything I put into that was obviously way more than the $30 for that plaque.
Just a bit
The
more, yeah.
sad thing is, you can't just buy that plaque. You know, that's the thing. So when there's a goal and there's something there like that, you know, I'm very, very competitive. And yeah, so as I say, 700 videos, all the time it's taken my video editor to edit all those videos, upload. I don't even know what it cost me. I don't even want to know what it cost me. But it was certainly a lot more than the $30 that
That's awesome though.
it was the cost.
It's pretty cool. Like, you set a goal, you didn't stop till you achieved it. That's just,
And I'm not stopping either. That's the thing. You get the silver plaque. If you get 1 million subscribers, you get the gold plaque. So that's the next goal. It might take me another 10 years, but hey, that's the next goal. Just for purely ego reasons, I want that fucking gold plaque because 100,000 is achievable by most if you put time and effort in. 1 million, that's severe dedication, and
the amount,
I'm happy to.
yeah, I mean, at that level, that's crazy. You're probably getting recognized on the street at that point, you know? Just walking around Glasgow.
Nah, not the thing is in Glasgow.
I mean, like if you get to 1 million, I mean, yeah.
Oh, if you get to 1 million,
Yeah.
I was going to say though, even in Glasgow, if you got to 1 million, I don't think people would care. SEO's not a big thing here in Scotland, but certainly in the SEO community, my growth and stuff, when I go to events and stuff, people are like, oh man, it's Craig, it's Craig, it's Craig. So it definitely helps your brand, your personal branding for sure, no matter what numbers you get to. I think it's definitely a good thing to try and get to. So but yeah, I don't want people in Glasgow harassing me. Don't mind it at SEO conferences, but I couldn't be doing with that all day, every day out in the real world.
Yeah, it would just get annoying, wouldn't it? Yeah, awesome.
Exactly.
Well, appreciate you coming on the show, and I'll leave a link to your YouTube channel underneath. If there's any other links you want me to include, let me know. And yeah, I would say how can people get in touch with you, but I know you said your inbox is overflowing, and that's why you created the channel.
Yeah, no, listen, if people do genuinely want to reach out to me, you can get me through my website, the contact form. I would say steer clear of inboxing me on social media because I don't even handle that myself anymore. In a lot of cases, it's just the way it is. But if you do have something, certainly email me. And if it's a plausible question, something I can help with, I'm always happy to help. And please just not try and sell me something because I get that 100 times a day, guest posts and everything else.
You don't want to buy any links.
Yeah, that one as well.
It's slash madame.
Yeah, I've been called worse than a madame, by the way. But as I say, I'm always happy to help. Just sometimes on social media, even with you on LinkedIn, it takes me days to respond purely because I don't go on there all the time. And if I do, it's swamped with messages, and you need to dig through and delete all the garbage to get to the right message. So through the contact form, my website does get to me directly, and as long as it's a catchy email, not too long-winded, then I'll probably respond to it. So that's the best way, man. Or catch me on YouTube. I've got plenty of question and answer sessions on there.
Yeah, I'll leave the links in the description. Awesome.
No worries, mate. Been a pleasure.
You too. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Cheers.